I love this man. You know, everybody calls him LT. I call him Lawrence Taylor.
At 67, Lawrence Taylor walked slower than any linebacker he ever chased. 2 Super Bowl rings, 10 Pro Bowls. The greatest defensive player who ever lived now carries a secret his Hall of Fame bust will never tell. And one night at a Holiday Inn changed everything forever. The force that changed football forever. Lawrence Julius Taylor was born on February 4th, 1959, in Williamsburg, Virginia, the oldest of 3 sons. His father, Clarence, worked as a shipyard dispatcher. His mother, Iris, taught school. Family members called him Lonnie. His mother called him challenging. By her own account, he was mischievous, defiant, and prone to fabricating stories. He did not play organized football until he was 15 years old. Baseball came first. He played catcher. Football only entered his life as a junior at Lafayette High School in 1974. He graduated in 1977 with modest recruiting interest. No scouts camped outside his house. No magazines ran features on him. He was a late bloomer in every measurable way. At the University of North Carolina, he arrived as a defensive lineman. He played special teams. He did not start right away. The switch to linebacker came in 1979. That switch changed American football. As a junior, he recorded 95 tackles, 5 sacks, 7 forced fumbles, and 1 interception. In 1980, he set school records with 16 sacks and 22 tackles for loss. He earned unanimous All-American honors. He was named ACC Player of the Year. He was named a Lombardi Award semifinalist. North Carolina retired his number 98. Coaches at the school marveled at the reckless intensity he brought to every practice. Teammates described him as a man who did not know how to hold back, even when holding back would have been smarter. The New York Giants selected him 2nd overall in the 1981 NFL Draft amid contract drama. He wore number 56 in tribute to Cowboys linebacker Thomas Hollywood Henderson. The Giants had finished the previous season at 3 wins, 12 losses, and 1 tie. They were a punchline. They had not won anything meaningful in nearly 2 decades. With Taylor on the field, they jumped to 9-7 and reached the playoffs in a single year. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year. He won Defensive Player of the Year. He remains the only rookie ever to win the latter award. Harry Carson remembers the skepticism that greeted him at first. The Giants already had a strong linebacking core. They needed offense. They needed skill players. Instead, they took Taylor with the 2nd pick. Then practice began.
Saw the little legs and everything. His legs ain't no different than mine.
Carson described what happened once the pads came on. The man with the small-looking legs moved like a ballerina in pads. Nothing about his game was scripted. The moves came from somewhere nobody in the league had ever seen before.
So like, damn, this guy's good. This guy went from like 3rd team to 1st team just like that.
Taylor himself joked that the promotion was not instant. It took almost 20 minutes. His coach, Bill Parcells, gave him freedom other players never received. Taylor once told Parcells he did not care if he was traded or cut, but the coach needed to get off his back about small things. From that day forward, Parcells simply let him play. The strategy worked because Taylor was operating on a different frequency than every other defender in the league.
I don't know where I'm supposed to because I make it up as I go.
His teammates covered the gaps. Carson told him constantly to just go do his thing. The defense would be right behind him. That trust became the foundation of the entire Giants defense for more than a decade. The numbers piled up quickly. 20.5 sacks in 1986, leading the entire league. 15.5 sacks in the strike-shortened 1987 season, played with a torn chest muscle strapped down by a harness. Double-digit sacks in 7 different seasons. A 97-yard interception return for a touchdown on Thanksgiving, 1982 against the Detroit Lions. Tackles for loss he made simply because he wanted the ball carrier to remember his name. Then there was the night of November 18th, 1985. Monday Night Football. Washington quarterback Joe Theismann faded back to pass on a trick play. Taylor came off the edge and brought him down. Theismann's leg snapped on national television. The sound traveled through living rooms across America. Theismann never played another down. He never blamed Taylor. He later said it was simply the consequence of being a quarterback in a league where Taylor existed. In 1986, Taylor was named NFL MVP. He became one of only 2 defensive players in league history to win the award at that point. The Giants finished 14-2. They marched through the playoffs. They won Super Bowl 21. 4 years later, they won Super Bowl 25. 2 rings, 2 parades, 2 generations of New York kids who grew up believing linebackers were supposed to win championships single-handedly. Carl Banks, his defensive teammate, once described a morning meeting during those championship years. Taylor arrived late, sat under a film table with dark glasses on, and fell asleep. Coach Lamar Leachman grew furious as he drew up the pass rush scheme. He circled back to Taylor again and again. The player did not stir.
He cuts the lights on and he's dropping a few expletives.
Taylor sat up and asked what was happening. The coach told him they were installing the pass rush for Sunday. Taylor told him to turn the lights back off and roll the film.
He looked at 2 plays, right? Got up, took the chalk, drew up our entire pass rush scheme for the game.
Banks said the scheme worked to perfection that Sunday. Taylor drew it up from 2 plays of film. Then he went back under the table and returned to sleep. That was how his mind worked. That was how different he was from every other defender of his era. By the time he retired after the 1993 season, Taylor held 132.5 official career sacks, 10 Pro Bowl selections, and 8 first-team All-Pro honors. Unofficial rookie year sacks, which the league did not track at the time, would push his real total even higher. The Pro Football Hall of Fame inducted him on the first ballot in 1999. His son Lawrence Jr. delivered the introduction speech. Bill Parcells said Taylor had as big an impact defensively as any player he had ever seen. Joe Theismann, the man whose career he ended, called him the standard. For a moment in time, Lawrence Taylor was the most feared man in American sports. Offensive coordinators invented new blocking schemes specifically to contain him. Bill Walsh and Joe Gibbs openly credited him with forcing offensive evolution across the entire league. 2 tight end sets became common because of him. Chip blocks by running backs became routine because of him. The modern left tackle position, the second highest paid role in football today, exists in its current form largely because Taylor made quarterbacks afraid to turn their backs to the weak side. He was also, at that very same moment, already losing control of his life in ways nobody outside his closest circle could see. The party that never ended. Mike Tyson wanted to meet him. That detail alone tells the story of New York in the 1980s. Darryl Strawberry remembers it clearly. The Mets controlled baseball. The Giants controlled football. Tyson controlled boxing. And in every nightclub across the 5 boroughs, Lawrence Taylor controlled the room he walked into, no matter how crowded it was before he arrived.
I didn't see Mike a lot in the city, but we saw LT at every party.
Strawberry said Taylor did not want it any other way. He was everywhere. He was with everybody. He was the gravitational center of New York nightlife during the decade that defined it.
There's Lawrence Taylor, one of a kind. And he was one of a kind.
That one-of-a-kind nature had a darker side that teammates saw up close. Cocaine entered his life at a party during his rookie season in 1981. By his 3rd season, the habit had grown into something dangerous. In his own autobiography, LT Over the Edge, co-written with Steve Serby in 2003, he later admitted to smoking up to an ounce of crack a day during certain stretches of his life and spending thousands of dollars on the substance and on female companionship. He stood in defensive huddles thinking about his next use rather than the next play call. He insisted it never hurt his performance on the field. The scoreboards and Pro Bowl rosters seemed to agree. The mirror in his home told a different story every single morning. To beat the league drug tests, he swapped urine samples with teammates. His first positive result came in 1987. The league kept it quiet. In February 1986, after what he considered a subpar season, he checked himself into Methodist Hospital in Houston under a fake name. He lasted roughly 1 week. He walked out after a single group therapy session because he decided the other patients were too unstable to be around. He replaced the hospital with a golf course. He traveled the country with his agent swinging clubs. He called golf his detox tank. He called it his halfway house. The Giants and the league were aware of his issues. He publicly admitted receiving help for substance abuse in March 1986. A second failed test in August 1988 triggered a 30-day NFL suspension. The Giants went 2-2 without him. A third positive test would have meant a lifetime ban. He abstained for the final 5 years of his career through sheer fear of losing football. He did not get better. He simply delayed the collapse.
Cause this joker just intimidate people, man. Hey, Shula, you better hope I never get back.
Mike Singletary was describing Taylor's presence on the field. The same presence existed inside nightclubs at 2 in the morning. The same fearlessness, the same refusal to back down from anything or anyone. It made him unstoppable on Sunday. It destroyed him the rest of the week. Retirement in 1993 removed the only barrier he had. No more tests, no more fear of suspension. He later said he viewed the substance as the only bright spot in his future. The day after his final game, he used. The day the Giants retired his number 56, he used again. What followed was nearly a decade of chaos that no teammate, no agent, and no coach could stop. He chased the habit for 2 straight years. A 1996 divorce and an arrest temporarily scared him clean. That sobriety lasted just over a year before a party triggered a relapse. From the fall of 1997 through most of 1998, he used daily. His home turned into something unrecognizable. White sheets covered every window to block the sunlight. Couches had holes burned into them from dropped pipes. The swimming pool sat stagnant and green. He spent roughly $1,000 a day on the substance and on paid female company. He turned down endorsement offers that would have paid him 6 figures. He skipped autograph shows that would have kept him financially afloat. He felt doomed by the disease. The legal record from this period reads like a warning sign flashing for years with nobody responding. 1995, 2 rehab stays. May 1996, arrested in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, for attempting to buy $100 worth of crack from an undercover officer. He completed 60 hours of community service and drug counseling. Charges were dropped through a pre-trial intervention program. 1998 brought 2 more undercover arrests in St. Petersburg, Florida, each for $50 of the substance. Another possession charge landed in New Jersey. He claimed one was a setup. He passed a lie detector test. It did not matter. The walls were closing in from every direction. The money disappeared along with the years. Career salary earnings of roughly $5 to $10 million plus endorsements. His all-pro products company briefly made him paper rich when shares hit $16.50. Then the Securities and Exchange Commission found evidence of manipulation. He lost hundreds of thousands in the collapse. Tax evasion charges in 1990 for filing a false return, followed by another tax case in 2000, led to house arrest, probation, and community service. He tried other paths to income. He appeared in the movie Any Given Sunday, directed by Oliver Stone. He appeared in The Waterboy with Adam Sandler. He appeared on The Sopranos. He worked as a TNT commentator during the network's NFL coverage years. He hosted the FX reality show Toughman. He even wrestled at WrestleMania 11 against Bam Bam Bigelow. None of it restored his fortune. Every paycheck went somewhere it should not have gone. By the late 1990s, his net worth had collapsed. Reports later placed it around $200,000 for a man who had earned what he had earned, who had endorsed what he had endorsed, who had been as famous as any athlete alive during his peak years. The number reads like a typo. It is not a typo. It is the real figure. In late October 1998, after the final string of arrests, he entered a New Jersey rehabilitation clinic. He stayed roughly 2 months. This time, he committed fully. He emerged in 1999. He has publicly maintained sobriety from that substance ever since, according to every major biographical source and every interview he has given in the 25 years since. In a November 2003 interview with CBS News, he described the change. He said he was recovering every day. He said the likelihood of relapse lessened every day because his life had become so much better. He separated the reckless persona of LT from the sober man named Lawrence Taylor, who could handle life now. He said LT was good for comic books. He said he liked Lawrence Taylor better. In a later conversation with treatment center operator Per Wickstrom, Taylor elaborated on what the program had unlocked inside him. He said he had always possessed the tools to stop, but it took rehab to bring those tools out of him. He said sobriety eventually became his thing, something nobody could take from him except himself. At a 2015 speech at a treatment center called A Forever Recovery, he told the audience that the way to get sober lived inside everybody, that the secret belonged to the whole room, that nobody got clean alone. The addiction chapter appeared to be closing. A far more damaging chapter was still to come, and this one would not be solved by any rehab program in any state in the country. The fall no accolade could undo. On May 6, 2010, at age 51, Lawrence Taylor was arrested at a Holiday Inn in Suffern, New York. Inside the room with him was a 16-year-old girl who had run away from home. She had been beaten. She had been forced into the paid companionship trade by a man waiting outside the hotel. Taylor paid her $300 for her company. He claimed he believed she was 19. He said he did not ask for identification. Original charges included third-degree rape. He pleaded guilty in 2011 to misdemeanor misconduct and patronizing a paid companion. A judge sentenced him to 6 years of probation. The court ordered him to register as a level 1 offender, the lowest risk classification available under New York law. The man who had trafficked the girl received 7 years in federal custody. The legend never recovered publicly. Every accomplishment on the football field now carried an asterisk in the minds of millions of people. Giants fans who had worshipped him for 3 decades struggled to reconcile the two images. The Hall of Fame bust in Canton did not change. The 2 Super Bowl rings did not change. Something else changed, something harder to measure than sack totals or championship parades. His personal life had already been fragmenting for years before the hotel room. His first marriage to Deborah Belinda Cooley produced 3 children, son Lawrence Jr., who introduced him at the Hall of Fame with tears in his eyes. Daughters Tanisha and Whitney. A second marriage to Maritza Cruz followed. A third to Lynette Rose Gordon came in 2007. In 2016, Lynette was arrested after allegedly striking him during a domestic dispute that left him bloodied in his own home. The physical toll kept compounding through every one of those years. A torn chest muscle in 1988. A ruptured Achilles tendon in 1992. Chronic shoulder damage from 13 seasons of violent contact. Chronic back damage from the same, cracked ankles that never quite healed, broken fingers he played through without mentioning, painkillers described by him as routine, as fuel, as part of getting dressed for work alongside his shoulder pads and his helmet. Harry Carson, sitting beside him at the 2019 Linebackers Roundtable, understood the cost of playing the way they had played together for 8 seasons.
Because for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So when you're out there, you throwing your body around.
Taylor threw his body around harder than anyone. The bill for that came due slowly, then all at once. Public appearances in recent years show a slower walk, visible discomfort in his lower back, and fragile knees. He has not been publicly diagnosed with the brain condition known as chronic traumatic encephalopathy. He belongs to the generation of players where hundreds of former teammates and opponents have been posthumously confirmed with it. His autobiography and his interviews acknowledge the physical price of his style of play. Carson offered the gentlest description of their bond, despite everything that had happened between them over the years.
I love this man. You know, everybody calls him LT. I call him Lawrence Taylor.
Carson said that whatever went down between them over the years, that was LT. The man named Lawrence Taylor, the one Carson actually knew, had always been good with him.
Best football friend you could ever have.
Carson said that after admitting he had not invited Taylor to his own Hall of Fame induction, and after Taylor had shown up anyway, that small detail captures something about Taylor that most of the headlines miss. He kept showing up for the people who mattered to him, even when he was not invited, even when he probably should not have been welcome. The public record since 2010 has been quieter, but not empty. Taylor faced registration violations in 2021 and in July 2024 for failing to report address changes. The 2024 case closed in August of that year after he turned himself in to authorities voluntarily. No major new scandals have emerged in the months since. In July 2025, President Donald Trump appointed him to the revived President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. Saquon Barkley joined him on the council. Bryson DeChambeau joined him on the council. At the White House event, Taylor said he did not know why he was there. He did not know what he was supposed to be doing, but he was there to serve. The appointment drew heavy criticism due to his criminal record. Commentators questioned whether someone on a public registry belonged on a federal council focused on youth fitness. Taylor stood beside the president anyway. He accepted the appointment. He showed up for every meeting. In 2020, he co-founded the Lawrence Taylor Family Foundation with his daughter, Tanisha Taylor Jones. The nonprofit has focused on underserved youth through scholarships, football clinics, golf fundraisers, and enrichment programs. It runs holiday toy giveaways in partnership with local churches. Tanisha handles most of the operational work through her own Beyond the Books Academy and her enrichment center for young people. The foundation's stated mission is leveling the playing field and tackling adversity, one play at a time. It represents his clearest attempt at legacy repair, at building something durable out of the wreckage of the previous 2 decades. In May 2025, he surprised fans by appearing at Giants off-season practices looking fit and offering advice on teamwork to the current roster. In December 2025, he delivered blunt counsel to struggling rookie edge rusher Abdul Carter, who had publicly requested to wear number 56. Taylor told him to wake up. He told him to stop letting teammates down over nonsense. He told him to get his priorities right before it was too late. Taylor denied him the number. He urged the rookie to forge his own legacy rather than borrow an older one. The message was not subtle. The message was a man in his late 60s telling a man in his 20s to avoid the road he had traveled. Ray Lewis, reflecting on what Taylor meant to linebackers, refused to compare him to anyone currently playing.
There are no players like a Mike Singletary. Nobody can be another Ray Lewis.
And I have not found another LT. I ain't found another Mike Singletary.
Lewis used one phrase to describe Taylor's on-field mentality that captured the entire arc of his life off the field. He called it an "I just don't care about nobody" mentality. That fearless disregard built the greatest defensive career in NFL history. That same disregard destroyed his finances, his marriages, and his name in the public eye for an entire decade after the 2010 arrest. Taylor has spoken often about the separation between the two versions of himself. In interviews with treatment center operators and in motivational speeches at recovery facilities, he has described the reckless persona as a character that had to die for the real man to survive into old age. He has said LT left a long time ago. He has said LT is good for comic books. He has said he likes Lawrence Taylor now, the quieter man. The man who walks his dog in Pembroke Pines. The man who sends checks to his daughter's scholarship fund. At 67, the man who once terrified an entire league lives quietly in Florida. His net worth sits around $200,000, according to the most recent public reporting. His registry status is permanent. His knees hurt when he walks upstairs. His back hurts when he sits too long in one position. His memory, by his own admission in recent interviews, is not what it used to be. He coaches no team. He collects no major endorsements. He attends Giants practices occasionally and offers blunt advice to young men half his age who have not yet learned the lessons he paid for in full. He raises money for children who will never know what it felt like to watch him in his prime, who will only know his name from highlight reels their grandfathers show them. He shows up at White House events and admits openly that he does not know why he was invited. He turns himself in when he forgets to update his address with the state registry. The tragedy is not simply that he fell from the heights he once occupied. The tragedy is how far the fall was, and how many of the wounds were self-inflicted before a single tackle ever aggravated them. The tragedy is that the same wild, abandoned Ray Lewis studied on grainy VHS tapes as a kid in Florida, the same relentless fury Mike Singletary admired from across the NFC, the same reckless genius Harry Carson defended on every Sunday for 8 straight years, was the exact engine that drove him into hotel rooms he should never have entered, and into pipes he should never have touched, and into business deals he should never have signed. He changed football forever. The game changed him back, slowly, completely, and without mercy. The league that celebrated him now watches him from a distance, uncomfortable with what he represents, unable to fully separate the highlight reel from the mugshot. The fans who wore his jersey as children now watch their own children ask why the man on the screen looks so small and sad. The teammates who went to war beside him still love him, still call him the best football friend they ever had, still refuse to pretend the bad years did not happen. At 67, Lawrence Taylor is a grandfather. He is a philanthropist. He is a mentor when young players will listen. He is a registered offender who must report his address every time he moves. He is a Hall of Famer whose bust still stands in Canton. He is a man who once told an interviewer that addicts are never cured. They are only in recovery, and they take their sobriety one day at a time. He is all of these things at once, and the contradictions will never resolve themselves into a neat ending. Well, that's it for this video. But don't go anywhere because we've got plenty more heat for you. Just tap any of the cards on your screen right now and keep it locked.